This is Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. So I'll take a look here at some stocks. We'll take a look here at PLTR, PLTR, and where I bought it yesterday and why I bought it. Then we'll take a look here at Intel, which their numbers are coming out today after the bell, and NVDA, and then Ford, which is actually coming out today also after the bell. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, selling stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, here we have PLTR. Now, this is becoming one of my favorite trades here. If you look at the earnings from the past, you can see how every time they have the earnings number, it's been ripping right up here very, very nicely. Now, the earnings are coming out here. I believe it's November 3rd, I think is what it is here. So we got to take a look here and see what exactly what's going on. Okay, so when we look at these charts, you can see here yesterday we put that low in at that right there, all the way down here to the bottom at that 169.42. Now, the reason I bought it is because what I did is I looked at the bottom of this candle here at that 170 level. I looked at that 177.7 level, and you can see where we popped a little bit below that. But what I was looking at here is this chart right here, your 1 minute and your 5 minute chart. Now, you can see here how it came all the way down here. We made a really nice low. Then we retested that low. Okay, then we made that higher low, and then she ripped up very, very nicely. Now, that was here today. This was today's process. Yesterday, this is here was on a 5 minute chart here, so I want to show you. We made that low of 169.42. See this? All the way down here. I didn't buy it, and it came down and retested this here at that 169.80. And then what it is, it came down here again and retested it here at 170.83. I got in here on the second retest at 170 flat. Okay, so it came right down. We had that 169.42, came down, retested at 168, 68.80 level, and I got in there. I put an order in there for 170 flat. It came in there, and then we put that higher low in there, which is even a nice at 170.01 level. Okay, then it ripped up here very, very nicely. Now today it came and pulled back down again, but you notice what it did here today. It came right on down. And then it retested that, and then we retested with that higher low, and then she rallied up here very, very nicely. Now, this is becoming a very, very good trade because, I mean, look at this. This is like almost a 10-point spread here in 1 day on the old chart. Now, I have good confidence in what's going to go on here with Palantir, but I just want to show you here on when you're actually trading this level here, always look for the retest. But what you really want is that higher low kind of a situation. A lot of times you can come down below, and they say that's like a red dog situation. And they say, oh, you know what I'm saying? And then it rallies on up higher, and it squeezes the short, and then you take it right on up nicely. But this was a really, really good trade as of yesterday. And I say I've been trading this now here every day, and it's been working out really, really nice because it has such a nice, huge swings, into the on the trading. Now, again, I do a lot of trading here, after hours. Even now, because you can do 24 hours on these, anywhere from, 8 o'clock at night till, 7 in the morning. Before I used to do this at 6 or 7 in the morning. So this is working out very, very nicely. Now, what we're watching here on the upside is we're watching this here, this 8 day at 179.19, and we're watching that 180 flat level. That is going to be your 21 day. Now, if we get above that, then we're looking at that 182 level, and we'll come top of this candle at 184.82, and then we're looking right up top of this candle at 188.20 level. Okay. Now, we get above that, we're going to go to that 190. Now, you crack that 190, you're going to be going heading straight towards that 200 mark here very, very nicely. Okay. But you can see how this chart is just uptrending, and now we are in that consolidation period. But you got such a wild swings. Look at what we had here on this candle here. Okay, you had 186. We had 186.84 on a high and 177 on the low. Same way we look at this candle here. You had 187 on high, 173 basically on low. And then yesterday we had a really nice good swing of 169.42 and 182.21 on the high level. So you have some really good trades. So if you want a good trader, Palantir here looking very, very good. Now, when you look here on it's only 52. That's got a long way that could go up here. The green is below your red, but once that curls up, we can get a nice, good, dramatic run, again, into those earnings. I'm long into the earnings, and I'm also trading this every day. But I say I just wanted to show you on yesterday's move, and you could have done the same thing even today when it came down here to that level. Okay, so where we got that low, and then we retested that low. Then you can say then we even put a higher low. So if you didn't want to buy it here, you could always had another chance of buying it right there, and then we could just ran that bad boy higher. Okay, now let's take a look here now at Intel. Okay, Intel is going to set a tone. Their earnings here now are after the close, okay? Now, Intel used to be one of my favorite trades, and then AMD was nothing. Now, it's kind of like all reversed, but I want to show you the daily and the weekly chart. Now, the key is we're holding this 21-day. That's always very good. That's what you want to hold is that 36.53. If now we come down to yesterday's low, that's at 36.04. We'll come down to the bottom of this candle here at 34.69 level, and then we can come right over here to the top of that candle at that 32.38 level, and then we have that 50-day sitting at 30.07. Now, there's a big gap, okay? So you want to watch the bottom of that candle. That's 28.73, and then we want to watch the top of this candle here at 25.26, okay? So we have your gap, and then we have your fill. If we lose that 21-day and that 50-day, then we have that area, and then we can always come down here to your 100-day and your 200 SMA. But now we have this nice, good sideways, like a consolidation action. So we got to see how that's going to shake out. But the earnings are going to be everything. Now, Netflix came out and they got hammered, and they're down again today at 11 points. Tesla is making a comeback here, but again, be careful with Tesla. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on there. But again, for me, it's a good trading stock. But that PLTR now has become my first trading stock over Tesla there, okay? So on the upside here, what you want to do is, if you can keep holding this, you're looking at 37.93 level. We'll come top of that candle right here. You're looking at 38.52, and then we'll come up top of that candle at 38.68, and then we have 39.65. That's your big upside target. Now, if we crack that, you can see here, there's a lot of really good targets. That's what I want to show you on a weekly chart. Okay, so you got a 45 level there. Okay, we come up here, you got a 46 level, and we come all the way to the top of there, you got actually a 51 level. Okay, so if this keeps on rolling, you can just go, pretty much much higher. Now you can see here when we sold right off on it, and then you have this sideways consolidation. But once that breaks out, it breaks off really, really nice. Now we have all this consolidation, but what that does is it builds energy. It can crack down just like it cracks up. But a lot of times when it goes sideways action, it'll crack right on up here, and then we just rally right on up. So you got this high as that 39.65 level, but once we crack up above that, you got a nice big target all the way up here at that 45 level, and then at that 40, almost 47 level, and then all the way up to that 51 level here on the old Intel. Now, on a weekly here, you're over to an overbought situation. The green is way up here. So to me, this isn't one that I'm trading. It just has to be more like it has to prove itself kind of a situation. Now, we do have negative divergence going here on your RSI. So we have a high and a lower high, and then higher high. So, okay, so pay attention to that. And then your green crossed over your red. So if you're trading this here, just watch that key 36.54 level and watch that 8-day at 37.14 level on the downside. If it rallies, watch that 39.65. If you crack that, 45 is going to be your target. All right, let's take a look here now at NVIDIA. All right, here we have NVIDIA. Now, this is another one of my favorites. I think this is going to go much, much higher over time. You can see here how you had a really, really nice, good run up. So earnings here probably won't be out. They're going to be out there a little bit later in November. But again, you have a nice pop up here on the earnings, and then rallied right up. The other earnings that came, it sold back down, but then it just rallied right on up here very, very nicely. But this is a big player. Is what I can, obviously is what you can see in the business here. So what we're really watching on the downside is you're watching that 50-day at that 179.51. Okay. Then what we do is be watching yesterday's low. That's that 176.76 level, and then we can come down here to that 173 level, and then we have right there your 170, which is your 100 SMA. Okay, so that's going to be your downside targets. Now, obviously, if we lose that, we just come right down to the bottom of this candle. You're looking at a 168.41. We'll come to the bottom there, 166.74, and then we come at 164.07 level. Okay, so that's your target if you lose that 100-day. Now, you have to hold this 8-day on a closing basis, that 180, 140. If you do, your next target is going to be that 183.95 level. You can see yesterday where it went right into it and then pulled back. So that's going to be strong resistance, is that 183.95. But if you get above it, here's your target there at 185.20 level. Okay, That's what we're going to be looking for. And then we can just try to kind of rally up here. You got 187.35 level. We'll come up top of this candle here. You're looking at 188.14. We'll come to the top of this candle at 190. And then we have 191 level. And then we have your 195.62. You crack that, you're going to that $200. Now, they do have a target on this here of 250, which, again, once you crack that 200, then, yes, you will march right on up to that 250 mark. Now, you can see here how on the weekly chart here, we're getting here to a situation here. We do have negative divergence here on your RSI, where we have a high, higher high, high, and a lower high. Okay, so pay attention to that. Your green is over your red, but again, the earnings aren't coming out till later in the November. They're always kind of later on the situation. But what you want to do is hold this 179 level. If not, you got a nice good target here at 170. That's on a weekly basis here, so always remember that. Now, on the upside, you really got to crack this level here. That's at 184, and then we have a shot at that 195 situation. But right now, we have a good uptrending chart situation. Just watch that negative divergence. That could be a little bit problem going higher. Again, this 8-day is going to be key on the downside, and that same way with that 50-day on a closing basis. Upside, the 21-day, 183.89.95. You get above that, then we can just follow candles up. But realistically, this is what you're looking for, is that 195.62 level. Okay, let's take a look here now at Ford. All right, here we have Ford. Now, the reason I bring Ford up is just not what I call what I'm going to be trading here. However, their numbers are going to be coming out today after the close. Now, GM came out, and they had really, really good numbers. And not just the EVs, where they're front loading, but also their guidance. They raised their guidance. They did everything. So again, we'll have to see what Ford does. Now again, remember these EVs. I don't care if it's Ford, GM, Tesla, Rivian, whoever. Remember those subsidies ran out as of September 30th. So the fourth quarter is going to be very, very key. But Ford's got to get their shit together here, because right now this is really, really not good. But at the guy who's running that CEO, I have no confidence in him. Alan Mulally, I mean, that guy came from Boeing. The stock as low as 121, and he ran it all the way up to $22. The guy only took $1 a year plus stock options. I mean, the guy did a fantastic job versus what this guy is doing. Okay, so we got to see how this shakes out. So again, this is going to be a slow mover, but let's just see what they can do. Maybe they're like GM and they finally get off the ocean night. Okay, now when you look at the weekly, high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Nothing really to write home about. But if we look at this 200-day, okay, this is what we're going to be watching. This is what you have to close above, that 1247, okay? If you can get above that, then we have that 1228 level, right? Then we can get above that. This is going to be your target. It's going to be that 1395, okay? Then we're going to come up to this target up here, which is going to be that 1485, and then we can maybe even come all the way up here to that 1542 level, okay? So there is potential of this thing going up higher. Remember, we are in a downtrending, and you have to get and close above that 200-day in order to hit these targets going all the way on up. Okay. Now, you look here at the daily chart. Okay. So we have a good uptrending situation. So let's just look at the earnings. We had the earnings there, and then it ran up here. We had the earnings, ran up, came a little bit, earnings, ran up. So maybe we can have a little good jump here. The key is going to be that 1280 mark. You have to get and close back above that, okay? Now, here on the downside, we want to make sure that you hold this level right there. That's what we've got to hold. That's got that 1232 level. If not, we can come all the way down here to this 8-day, that 1205, and then we have that 12 flat, and then we have your 1179. So everything is sitting right down here. But this is like a slow mover as a crawler, but it's an uptrending chart. We have a low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low situation, and we have higher highs going on here. But again, watch that 1280. If you're trading this, you have to close above in order to start hitting these targets right here. Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking at, is that 1485 level. And then, if you can crack above it, and then you got 1542 level. Then we come up here, you got that 1668 level. And then you venture all the way on up here where you got that 1673. So it's not what you call a big mover. But again, I think you could make money if you are trading this situation. I think you're still way better off at just scalping Tesla. Now, Tesla got all the way down to 413, and right now you're sitting at 432. So that's a way better trade than what like Ford is, and waiting to see if they're going to get their act together here or not. All right, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here after your pit close, and we'll take a look here at Bitcoin, Ethereum ETF, ETHU, gold, silver, crude oil, and natty gas. Now, remember, crude oil is running up here pretty nicely on the sanctions that T-Man is putting on, okay, on the big oil companies, okay? got Lukoil and Rosenfeld. So this is what you got, is what they're putting sanctions on. So I say anything kind of with crude oil, any kind of disruption, any kind of a noise, anything else, crude oil will rally off of these lows. Okay, so always remember that. Now, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.